Let us discuss Smackdown. Not much to talk about, really. Kind of a lame ass show, if we're being honest, from December the 6th, 2024. So, in order to beef this thing up and make it a little bit more interesting, we're actually going to talk about Dave Meltzer's star ratings for Survivor Series. Not all of the matches, just 3. That's it. We're just going to talk about the star ratings for 3 matches. And then I guess we'll talk about Kevin Nash and LA Knight, but we'll talk about that in the LA Knight portion of our review. So before we get into all of that, let's talk about WWE's newest announcement about A&E. So a press release went out. Apparently it says WWE LFG Legends and Future Greats, a new reality competition show, has been announced to be premiering in early 2025 on A&E. The show will see WWE legends Triple H, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Booker T, Bubba Ray, and a returning Mickie James mentor aspiring wrestlers as they compete with WWE contracts on the line. Why do they insist on redoing Tough Enough 100 times? Didn't they just have a game show on like Hulu last year? And I think it flopped pretty hard because nobody cared and nobody came out of that thing, and none of it mattered, right? And yet we're going back to that. We're going back to reality TV shows. Instead of doing the soap opera slop that everybody wants, which is like Total Divas and such, that was the stuff that made money. I like Tough Enough, but they've destroyed the Tough Enough brand. And now they keep trying to recreate Tough Enough under different names. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Oh my God. So it says WWE LFG will offer viewers an inside look at the rigorous training process featuring iconic legends such as Paul Triple H Levesque. His name had to go first, right? Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Booker T, Mickie James, Bubba Ray Dudley, as they mentor a new generation in weekly matches on their quest to become the next WWE superstars. Executive producers for WWE are Paul Levesque, Lee Fitting, Ben Hauser, Shawn Michaels, and Jeremy Borash. Elaine Fontaine Bryant and Brad Abramson serve as executive producers for A&E. Now, this tells me that there's going to be some kind of NXT element to it, which could be fun if it's going to involve the NXT talent or the WWE ID talent, and maybe that was the purpose in signing the WWE ID talent. But my God, again, we just did Tough Enough. Tough Enough had a couple of seasons. They butchered it. And then I forget what it was called last year when they did the thing and it had Sexy BJ Ray, that goofball, who's still on the roster, believe it or not. They continuously tweet at him on social media, but apparently he's just hanging around Orlando by himself. Just, I don't know. But it didn't work any of these times because WWE never keeps any of these people on the roster. But it's going to work this time, I promise. This time, they're going to follow through. This time, it's going to work. I don't blame none of the legends, man. They just trying to get paid, and it don't matter. But I don't want WWE wasting our time with more of these. We're trying to find the next up-and-coming star, and then they're going to fire all of these guys in 2 years. The TV show is going to dry up, and all this stuff is going to be crap. Now, if they use talent that already exists, then maybe it has more of a chance. But if they're just going to use people that they pick up off the street or some folks that they have to really dig to the bottom of the barrel of NXT, then I don't think so. Now, if you were to take something like Level Up and turn that into a reality TV show where the people have already got a contract, they're already under contract, they're working dark matches and et cetera, that could be fun. That could be interesting. If that's what this is, then it could be interesting. I don't want to see people who are not signed try to get signed and cut terrible promos and cringe stuff like that. I don't want to see any of that crap. Now, it sounds like it's going to be more of the former rather than the latter, which is going to make it distinctively different from Tough Enough, because Tough Enough is about taking average Joes who are athletes or whatever and trying to see if they can earn a WWE contract. And that's what it also kind of what it seems like here, because I think they said contracts were on the line. But I don't see that in the press release. But then again, I only skimmed it. I didn't go through it with a fine-tooth comb. So I'm hoping that it's just a way of utilizing the talent that already exists, the people that they've already signed, and be similar to what the OVW documentary was, the documentary series, and the Monster Factory documentary series that came out recently. And if you do something like that, where you just basically tell the story of a lot of the undercard guys, of some of the recent trainees who just coming in and just working their first matches, that could be fun. That could be interesting. That could be something I might be wanting to watch. But if it's like Tough Enough, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch any more of that crap. I'm done with that. And if it's going to end up, I think the only thing that works in reality TV format is the Total Divas like garbage that people liked. Like people liked like the Legends House and what was that other one? Miz and Mrs. and all that kind of stuff. Total Divas and Total Bellas and all that crap. People love that shit. If you're not going to make stuff like that in terms of reality TV, this stuff is probably not going to work. But you guys already know this shit ain't going to work. All right. Let's talk about Meltzer. And he gave out his star ratings for Survivor Series. The highest rated match at Survivor Series, I believe, was a triple threat match between Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser. But we're not going to discuss that. The star ratings for the Women's War Games was 3 stars. He gave 3 stars to the Women's War Game. Now, for comparison, Masha Slamovich versus Jordynne Grace, which took place that same weekend and was an infinitely better match. I mean, go watch that match. It was infinitely better. He gave that match 3.5 stars. So, Masha Slamovich versus Jordynne Grace, 2 out of 3 falls, was a much better match than the Women's War Games match. And he only gave it a half star more. A half star. That tells me he probably didn't watch either match. Because for starters, the Women's War Games match is not a 3-star match. It's barely a 2-star match. This match was trash. Everybody who watched it, there was not a single person who thought this match cooked. 3 stars is average. All right? In a 5-star scale, 3 stars is average. Now, if it's 3 out of 10, then okay. Then maybe that makes sense. If it's 3 out of 25, then yeah, that's right. 3 out of 100, yeah, sure. But 3 out of 5? No. And then here's the thing. The Women's War Games match is actually listed as being better than LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which got 2.25 stars. 2.25. 2.25. Look, I'm not going to say the match was great. That was the definition of average. And I think 2.25 is not that bad. That's about an average score. So the Women's War Games match should have got about that. If we're being honest. The Men's War Games match got 4.25 stars. So, okay. I can't dislike it. It is what it is. Everybody kind of thought the match was good, but I was floored by the idea that the Women's War Games match would get 3 stars. While Masha Slamovich versus Jordynne Grace, which was an infinitely better match, my word, between infinitely better wrestlers. There's only 2 wrestlers in the Women's War, 3 maybe, that could compete with them, Tiffany, Rhea, and Bianca. The rest of them, well, maybe Bayley. The rest of them can't hang with Jordynne and Masha Slamovich. And they were they were missing spots. They were really working light with the chairs. They were doing goofy stuff like Naomi running to the ring in her birthday hat. There was so much trash in that match, and they got 3 stars. I do this for kicks. I don't do it because I care. That's why I'm not going to do every match. But I think that just because people might be wondering, what did Ludwig Kaiser, Braun Breaker, and Sheamus get in terms of stars? It got 4.25 stars. So about the same as the men's War Games match, actually. So I mean, it is what it is. Can't really bellyache too much about it. I don't get it. It seems silly to me. But so those of you who care about what Meltzer thinks, discuss this in the comment section below. If you don't care, then continue laughing. And let's move on with the rest of our show here. Solo Sikoa and them attacked Apollo Crews and security, beat them all up. He also beat up some guys later too, but we'll get there. Cody Rhodes came out there before he got confronted by Chad Gable, of all people, who said that the transfer portal or transport window or whatever is about to open. It's like some kind of trade window. Then he's called Cody Rhodes a terrible friend, said he was superficial, blah, 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 blah. He challenged him to a match. And that was the main event for the evening, was Cody Rhodes versus Chad Gable. It was a solid enough match, which, of course, the WWE champion won because Chad Gable never wins ever. I don't even know what he was doing out there. And then Cody Rhodes was attacked by Kevin Owens at the end of the show. Kevin Owens, of course, was there because he was invited there. He was invited because he was supposed to do a sit-down interview with Michael Cole, but he refused to come into the building because for weeks he tried to get into the building and was told he wasn't welcome. So now that he was invited, he's going to decide not to show. And so he's going to make Michael Cole do the interview in the car. Now, here is where I get to my critiques of Kevin Owens. One of my big issues with Kevin Owens is that he's not serious, right? Everything comes across like it's a one big old fucking joke. And this is one of those times where he could be interesting, and yet he just sits in his car ranting, which is fine, but he tries to be smarter than everybody else. He tries to get too cute, and he tries to make too many jokes. It's like, this is supposed to be a time for getting heat. You know, you're supposed to be upsetting people. You know, when JR used to do sit-down interviews with Kane or Mankind, it was time to really dig deep into the psychology of that wrestler. This was a similar thing, but it felt like a parody almost. You know, he has to tell Michael Cole to get in the car, and Michael Cole gets in the car and talks about how he's a big supporter of Kevin Owens and yada, yada, yada. And then Kevin Owens, of course, he threatens Sami Zayn. He's going to get to him eventually. But he just says the same stuff that he said over and over again. That the Bloodline tried to end his career. And how dare he try to help Roman Reigns. And Cody Rhodes stabbed him in the back. It wasn't nothing new. It was nothing interesting. And they were talking inside of a car. I'm like, this was an opportunity to have a real sit-down interview where you could have Kevin Owens display some real emotion. You know, even come up with like a fake backstory or whatever the case may be. If this WWE is all about bringing in a character's history, you know, bringing in all the things that the character has done that we have seen, of course. Now is a perfect time to have a sit down with Kevin Owens where he talked about betrayal specifically and how all of this is about betrayal. You know, how Roman Reigns became who he was because he was betrayed by Seth Rollins. How he was betrayed by the fans who didn't want him, who hated him, or whatever the case may be. And how he feels that what Cody did to him is kind of what Seth did to Roman. How what the fans did to Roman when they denied him and they shunned him and didn't care about his feelings or his thoughts or anything like that. And he could say, even if he wanted to be emotional, say, did Cody, you know, think about us, and not even just me, but all of us who were fighting the bloodline while he was somewhere else, did he think about us when he did that? No. And then he can go down the line and say, it's not just Cody, it's CM Punk too. It's even my best friend, Sami Zayn. Everybody thinks it's okay to help this guy who was beating up people for months, years. It's not right. It was an opportunity to tell a deeper, more meaningful story. But what we got was manicky, talkative Kevin Owens saying the same shit he was already saying. I hated this segment. It feels like they really, especially since they've done this kind of stuff before, as recently as Monday with the New Day segment, was an opportunity when they really went deep. You know, even the Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn segment, you know, the Seth Rollins, Jey Uso thing, you know, the thing with him and CM Punk, you know, based on all of the history and trying to take it to the next level. They didn't do that here. It's all superficial, same stuff over and over again. And I don't like it. I didn't like it. I don't care about this. I can't wait for this feud to be over. You know, I got a really bad feeling in my stomach. Maybe if I say it out loud, it won't happen. But I got a really bad feeling Kevin Owens is going to win the belt. I got a really bad feeling he's going to win the belt. And this is not the right version of Kevin Owens to be the WWE champion, I can say. Because he's manicky and stupid, and the way he speaks is not even conducive to being a main event talent. He's talking too fast. You know? He's not letting his words sink in. He's supposed to be agitated. But how about taking some time to really process your thoughts and connect it to larger issues that are going on within the WWE? You know? Talk about how, you know, he betrayed New Day at one point, and now New Day is betraying Big E. All these things could be brought together. And he could say, like, I'm the one guy that's not going to betray anybody anymore. I'm done with that. And the first person I'm not going to betray is myself. That would have been perfect. If he just said, I'm going to be loyal to myself, and I'm not going to allow my friends to help my enemies, that would have been a perfect explanation. And if you bring in everything with all of these people who are betraying each other, stabbing each other in the back, which is WWE, so it's happening all the time, it would have made perfect sense. And then you probably would have gotten a lot of fans to agree with you. You know? And if you twisted it a little bit more, make it a little bit darker, you might have got booed. But instead, they just turned it into some kind of humorous, funny segment. It was stupid. Get the fuck out of here. All right, Bianca wants to find out what happened to Jade Cargill. Naomi wants to focus on her match, however. Then Naomi goes out to lose that match while Bianca is mocked by Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. So Bianca then blames Piper Niven for attacking Jade Cargill, and she ends up getting jumped by Chelsea and Piper. Naomi was in a United States Championship triple threat match with Elektra Lopez and Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton won that match by pinning Elektra Lopez, because wouldn't you know, Elektra Lopez was in the match to lose. I thought she was going to be on the rock. No, she was in the match to lose. Naomi Boccherino. Look, Tiffany Stratton was the right one to pick here. Hopefully she wins the belt. I'm pretty sure she's not going to, but hopefully Tiffany gets the belt. Does she really need it because she got the Money in the Bank briefcase? No. But it would be nice if she could just win it outright and then just hold on to her Money in the Bank for some other time, right? She might be able to hold both belts, like, you know, Rob Van Dam, where he was the Intercontinental Champion and Mr. Money in the Bank at the same time. That was very cool, by the way. Meanwhile, Bianca Belair defeated Piper Niven in a very long match. The match was actually pretty good because Bianca was like the only person on the show that was still selling War Games. Like, Tiffany Stratton didn't sell shit from War Games. She jumped off the top of the cage. Wasn't selling a damn thing from War Games. But Bianca was. She was selling the ribs from War Games. Might be the only person. But after the match, Byron Saxton actually gave Piper Niven an alibi that she couldn't have attacked Jade Cargill because she was eating ice cream next to Gorilla or something. I don't know. I don't remember what he said. It don't matter. So Naomi is mad. She's mad at Candice LeRae for costing her the triple threat match. And she's tired of Candice and Tiffany. She can't get ahead because of them. So now I'm guessing she's trying to get Bianca to do something. But Bianca's, of course, still focused on the whole Jade Cargill thing. They're leading quite a bit towards it being Naomi. And I'm thinking they're going to... Naomi will be a decent choice, but it's kind of dark for Naomi, you know? To, murder Jade Cargill that way, that's pretty dark, you know? I would hope it would be somebody else rather than Naomi. The idea that it could be Bianca, that's dirty. There is a conspiracy theory floating around that, Bianca did this to Jade before she went out for her match. And it wouldn't make sense because she left the match. So it wouldn't make sense like why she would quit her own match, lose the match, and then, do all this, But it's similar to when they did this with Kane, right? Undertaker was found in a comatose state, and Kane went around blaming little Rey Mysterio and all these guys that you put the Undertaker in a coma. Like, what? Rey Mysterio did that? How? What, a shotgun? A tranquilizer dart? I don't know. If that's what they're doing here, this is terrible. If you're going to... This is not how you do a heel turn for Bianca. I don't think it's a heel turn for Naomi either. It's too dark for Naomi, in my opinion. Her character's all about high energy, it's upbeat. For her to go to that length, I don't know, man. But I'm wondering if they're gonna do the old security footage gimmick, where it's gonna be like, oh, there was some security footage backstage that we need to review, and then they show it on TV, and it's somebody in a hood or something that just kind of attacks Jade while she's not looking and knocked her off the whatever, the parking structure or whatever. That would be like the next step for it, right? But it better not be Bianca. That would be terrible. Bianca is the worst choice. Naomi is also not great, but it seemed like it might be Naomi as the choice. I would really prefer it be somebody else, preferably somebody who's not on the roster and kind of making their debut, or somebody who's been fledgling and, something to really get some heat behind them. But I think they're probably going to want this kind of story to have some real meaning. So I'm thinking it's going to be a heel turn. That's what I'm thinking. Because last time they did something like this, well, not even the last time. Because remember they tried to do the who murdered Roman Reigns and ended up being two Eric Rowans. Like that was nonsense. Like absolute nonsense. But it ended up being, Daniel Bryan anyway, right? This has potential, but the outcome has to be strong. It's got to be strong. I don't think Naomi's a strong enough promo to make this thing work. Bianca is basically your top babyface in the women's division across both brands. So turning her heel is a big mistake. But, you never know what kind of stupidity is rattling around in Paul Triple H Levesque's brain. He can be profoundly stupid at times. So who knows? So speaking of whodunit, we got another whodunit. The Street Profits are down. They were supposed to get a tag team championship match. And they all of a sudden, both of them got hurt and beat up. Johnny Gargano was just right there. Just a coincidence. And told Nick Aldis, hey, we'll fill in for him. Nick Aldis was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns was the co-main event of the evening. Nobody cared about this match at all, including me. DIY is not over. DIY means nothing to Minnesota. It means nothing here in Detroit. It means nothing to anybody. But they did do something that was rather slick. they had DIY tease dissension. Basically, they argued amongst each other, shoved each other. Ciampa even kicked Gargano in the face accidentally. Maybe that wasn't planned. But the whole thing was a scheme. It was a gimmick. It was a ruse. So the Motor City Machine Guns, Nick Aldis, everybody, they were hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, played for a fool. You got hustled. Got your game ran on you. You got tricked. As Gargano and Ciampa were working together the whole time. Gargano hit, I believe it was Alex Shelley in the nuts. That's my purse! And then all of a sudden, they hit their finish on the other one, I think. Oh, no, it was on Shelley. And they pinned him. So DIY are the tag team champions. They were backstage, very excited. Candice LeRae is there too, so she's going to be a part of this act now. Now she can get no reaction twice a night rather than once a night. And there's that. Okay, I see what you're trying to do here. You're trying to get people to care about DIY. I guess you figure turning them heel might help. For me, this feels like the exact same thing you just did with LA Knight, where LA Knight was kind of dead in the water. He needed somebody to chase. So you flipped Nakamura. You put Nakamura in the microwave, and he came out and somewhat hot. You know, maybe you do the same thing here where Motor City Machine Guns became successful a little too fast. So you basically use them as a means of turning DIY heel. And now the Motor City Machine Guns' real run in WWE gets to begin with them in the chase position against DIY, which I guess could be interesting. But there was no future with DIY being broken up anyway. That wasn't going anywhere. What do you think Johnny Gargano was going to do as a singles act? Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. Speaking of Nakamura, Shredder Mora, leader of the Foot Clan, he came out there and LA Knight immediately interrupted. Says that he's a sorry excuse for the United States champion. Says he got what belongs to him. Before he gets into the ring, because he starts wearing his mist blockers, which are LA Knight shades, which are shades with LA Knight on the shades. That's supposed to be for merchandising, no doubt. But you put something where the eyes are supposed to go. Something tells me the LA cover up the eyes and you can't see out of those things. Details, minor details. Anyway, then Andrade came out there. I was like, that's interesting. So Andrade said, we got unfinished business. And then everybody got beat up. Solo Sikoa came out of nowhere, beat everybody up. Nakamura started acting like a snake. He started oozing stuff out of his throat face. And then they left him alone, essentially. They were like, yeah, you get out of here. So Nakamura slithered away with his title. I don't know what he came out there for. Nobody knows what he came out there for because he didn't do anything. He immediately got accosted by LA Knight and Andrade. So Andrade is still in the title picture. Heavens to Betsy. Solo is upset. He's mad because two of his soldiers got injured. Tonga Loa got hurt in the War Games match. And Bronson Reed broke his foot. So he's out too. Out indefinitely. And so is Jimmy Uso. Whoa. Somebody is actually doing something when it comes to War Games. But Tonga Loa. Nothing of value was lost with Tonga Loa. But Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga are very mad. They're going out there beating up everybody. Solo says he's tired of everybody thinking he's a joke. He's tired of everybody thinking that he's weak. He said he's still got the Ulafala and people are still going to acknowledge him because he's still the tribal chief. That meant nothing. And there was no Roman Reigns. So, yeah. Take that, Minnesota. You got Jesse the Body Ventura, though. He was there. And he's going to be on commentary for Saturday night's main event, which ought to be very entertaining, depending on who they put him with. If he's with Michael Cole, it ought to be fun. You know, people have already kind of headcanon that Jesse Ventura is going to start running off talking about either Trump or Afghanistan or, you know, the international globalists or something on NBC. I hope he's that deranged, and I hope he's not that deranged. I would love it if he was that crazy and he starts talking about the Gulf of Tonkin and all that kind of stuff again. That would be great. But I don't think he's that crazy. It ought to be fun. Can't wait for that show. That show is going to be fun. I'm not even going to say it out loud. I'm not going to put that in the universe because then people are going to be like, yeah, you should do that. I'll keep it to myself. Maybe if I do it, it'll be a surprise. So the only thing left is Carmelo Hayes, who was the number 1 draft pick to SmackDown, by the way, going to Nick Aldis and saying, where do I fit in with this portal? This trade portal? Transfer portal? Like, what is it? What is it? I don't know. But the NBA has like a trade deadline. Most sports do. You know, you have trade deadlines or whatever. And he wants to know where he fits in all this. And Nick Aldis says, oh, he got something special for him. But he actually joked that Carmelo Hayes leaving would be, you know, to his benefit. I'm like, you drafted this guy in the first round. When? Like, is he like John Rocker or something? Like, he's like one of the, or what was that quarterback for the Chargers? That was like a complete, Ryan Leaf. So it's like Carmelo Hayes like Ryan Leaf. Man, Carmelo Hayes likes sports, right? Nobody called this guy the Ryan Leaf, the Darko Milicic of WWE. Oh my God. Can you imagine somebody getting washed almost immediately? Not even put no thought into this thing. I don't know, man. I feel bad for Carmelo Hayes. Now, they did kind of tease that there's going to be some call-ups and some trades that's going to happen. I think they've already kind of tipped their hand a little bit. That Lash Legend is going to end up being called up. I'm not really thrilled about the idea of them calling up people from NXT. Guys like Obafemi or, you know, Ridge Holland or Andre Chase or Thea Hill or anybody like that. Because look at the history of what they've done with the people they've called up over the last 2 years. I mean, just look at Lyra Valkyria. Is she even on? Is she not doing much of anything on TV right now? Time of recording, of course. When you have, Ilya Dragunov wasn't doing much on TV. Carmelo Hayes ain't doing much on TV. Tiffany Stratton is a flunky on television. Brian Breaker's doing great, but he was kind of a can't miss. And it took a while for and then Triple H is still kind of iffy with him. There's a lot of people that is not really benefiting them to be pulled out of NXT so early. But at the same time, if this helps NXT, like they send people back, then this could be fine. You know, if they send people back to NXT, that could be fun. Pulling people out of NXT, I'm just going to be sad to see them go. And I'm going to be very upset if they end up botching Obafemi. Because I got a feeling he's one of the top people that they're going to talk about bringing in from NXT. Now, in terms of trading various main roster wrestlers amongst each other, like, CM Punk could go to SmackDown. I don't care about that. I don't care about none of that shit. You know, do I really give a damn if Drew McIntyre is on SmackDown or Raw? No. Does anybody? Not really. You know, it would be important for McIntyre to leave Raw because Punk is on Raw. So, but doesn't really do much for me whether Bronson Reed is on Raw or SmackDown. Like, really, who gives a shit? I care more about the NXT talent because they don't have the kind of room to thrive on the main roster as they would in NXT. They don't got the kind of time and they don't got the kind of experience, that will lead to them thriving. Triple H likes for his people to have a little bit more experience. But that's SmackDown for you on December the 6th. The show was pretty damn bland. I mean, Chad Gable versus Cody Rhodes was the main event. A good work rate match that really didn't mean anything. And then if you bring Chad Gable over to SmackDown, what do I got forward to look for him doing? Nothing. He's already lost to Cody, so it is what it is. And it was weird that Cody brought up Shorty G though. That was weird. Anyway, like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.
No one does it better.